Hold on to your seats. Bitcoin's price is gearing up for an epic liftoff. We're talking major momentum, with all signs pointing straight to the moon. Let's dive in and see just how high it could go. Saylor, the chairman of MicroStrategy, made a huge announcement on X, one that could reshape the crypto landscape. As MicroStrategy launches a colossal $42 billion capital plan, aiming to solidify their standing as a global Bitcoin powerhouse in the next 3 years.
Another name in the space to watch is MicroStrategy, surging in the month, up around 45% in October. The company also announcing it plans to raise $42 billion over the next 3 years to buy even more Bitcoin. That is basically the public equity play on Bitcoin maximalism, and has been for a while.
Equity capital markets, alive and well.
For sure.
They're going after $21 billion through an ATM equity offering and another $21 billion from fixed income securities, with the goal of building this capital base by 2027. This is monumental, even for a company as bold as MicroStrategy. Now, why is this such a big deal? Simple. MicroStrategy has been a leading advocate of Bitcoin's potential as a treasury asset. With this capital plan, they're doubling down on their commitment to Bitcoin. They're positioning themselves for explosive growth and even bigger Bitcoin acquisitions as adoption grows. And they're not the only ones bullish on Bitcoin. The Bitcoin ETF market has seen massive inflows this year, with institutional giants like BlackRock and Fidelity piling in. Since January, ETFs have brought in over $20 billion, a huge vote of confidence for Bitcoin. This flood of institutional investment has added fuel to Bitcoin's price growth, and it's not showing any signs of slowing down. But there's a twist that could shake up MicroStrategy's plans. We're talking about the Bitcoin halving. Every 4 years, Bitcoin's supply gets cut in half. In 2024, the mining rewards dropped from 900 to just 450 Bitcoins per day, putting even more scarcity into Bitcoin's DNA. And for the next 3 years, there is only going to be 492,000 Bitcoins. The next halving in 2028 will further tighten supply, limiting the number of new Bitcoins available. This scarcity means MicroStrategy may face higher prices as it builds its Bitcoin treasury over the next 3 years. And with players like BlackRock and Fidelity aggressively entering the space, MicroStrategy isn't the only one stacking Satoshis. As these giants accumulate more Bitcoin, it's going to put pressure on the supply, driving up demand and, likely, Bitcoin's price. How does MicroStrategy plan to reach that ambitious $42 billion capital base by 2027? It's simple. They'll need to be strategic. With each Bitcoin purchase, they could be facing higher and higher prices as supply dries up. This means they may need to buy directly from existing Bitcoin holders in the market, creating even more demand pressure. With this bold capital plan, MicroStrategy is setting the stage for a thrilling future in Bitcoin. Stay tuned as we bring you clips of more Bitcoin investor adoptions.
Today, MicroStrategy is announcing its ambitious capital market strategic plan for the next 3 years. From the years 2025 to 2027, the company is targeting to raise $42 billion of capital, comprised of $21 billion of equity capital and $21 billion of fixed income capital, primarily for the purpose of acquiring Bitcoin. Today, we have filed a prospectus supplement for a new $21 billion ATM equity program. This is the largest ATM in the history of capital markets. Fixed income capital can consist of various debt and debt-like instruments, including convertible debt, preferred equity, hybrid capital, or other similar instruments. So I'd like to provide more detail on our capital raising targets over the next 3 years. For the year 2025, we target raising $10 billion total, comprised of approximately $5 billion each of equity capital and fixed income capital. For the year 2026, we target raising $14 billion, comprised of approximately $7 billion each of equity capital and fixed income capital. And for the year 2027, we target raising $18 billion, comprised of approximately $9 billion each of equity capital and fixed income capital. We plan to address increased interest costs from any incremental fixed income capital raised through efficient management of our overall capital raising plan. including alternating between equity raises and debt raises as appropriate to maintain our overall intelligent leverage.
In other news, Howard Lutnick, an iconic figure in American finance and the powerhouse CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald and BGC Partners, has officially joined the Bitcoin revolution. Known for leading top-tier global financial services and brokerage firms, Lutnick now sees Bitcoin as digital capital and a prime commodity asset. After taking the orange pill, he's invested a substantial chunk of his wealth into Bitcoin, making it a major part of his portfolio.
Bitcoin is something that you've become very excited about. I think there's a lot of people who are looking and saying, wait a second, all these dollars, all this tax talk, all this national debt, it all just guarantees the dollar is going to lose value over time. We're going to continue to lose value in the dollar. This Bitcoin thing is the opposite. It continues to appreciate its purchasing power over time. Why are you so excited about this?
So I think about it differently, but we get to the same outcome.
Okay.
Okay. So let's think about it differently. So people use Bitcoin and they say it's like a currency. It's not.
I don't think it is.
It is not a currency. It is a commodity, like gold, like oil, right? We don't know how much, but in the end, that's why they call it mining. It's not like that funny, actually, right? And they have a gas fee, right? Like all the words that everybody uses with respect to Bitcoin are really commodity based. So it should be regulated like a commodity because it is a commodity. And Bitcoin, and let's only talk about Bitcoin, right? It's a commodity, right? Commodities, you can sell oil to anybody you want, anytime you want, without regulatory anything. If you want to do an oil futures contract, okay, fine. But if I just like have oil come out of I have a drill, an oil well in Texas and I want to sell my oil, the government just do it clean and that kind of stuff. But I could sell oil. I can mine gold and sell gold. I should be able to mine Bitcoin and sell Bitcoin. To who? Anyone. Anyone where? Anyone ever. It's just a commodity. So if everyone started talking about Bitcoin being a commodity, they would actually be talking about the freedom of Bitcoin. And they'd be talking to people, and everybody who's in power would now understand. Because when they think, oh, it's going to replace the dollar the way you talked about it. No, I can't say, because then people can figure out that no, how much I have. I would say I have hundreds of millions of dollars.
Okay.
Okay. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars exposure to Bitcoin. And it will be billions.
I was going to say, so next year when you come back and we'll do this again and you'll be a Bitcoin billionaire and
yeah, but you remember that model I told you. So if every time Bitcoin dips, I'm going to be the buyer. Right?
Trust me, I know why you're doing the lending.
It's all coming. You're figuring it out.
Listen, you don't have to explain that one around here.
So I got the 50% Bitcoin. I got the Bitcoin lending. But basically, what you're going to see is Cantor Fitzgerald is going to be the sponsor of Bitcoin into traditional finance. Mm-hmm. And so we will be the leader of it. And I'll pull out this podcast in years to come and say, see, I told you, because no one's going to remember.
Of course.
Right. But all the banks, after we do it and show people how to do it right, they'll all copy. Mm-hmm. And so the asset of Bitcoin will just, as it becomes more accepted, it will become more valuable. And the whole Bitcoin nation should just call it a commodity, never a currency. Mm-hmm. Just call it a commodity. Because if it's a currency, you're attacking the politicians of the country, mm-hmm. right? You're trying to replace my currency with yours. Mm-hmm. But if you say, hey, I'm just oil, I'm just gold, mm-hmm. I'm just a commodity, leave me be, right? Then they'll leave you be. And that is true. And it will be why Bitcoin, which is rare and is special, will become ever more rare, as we both know, mm-hmm. ever more valuable over time. It'll be financed just like gold is, right? Gold is, it's not like super financeable, but it's financeable. Oil, mm-hmm. it's not super financeable, mm-hmm. but it's financeable, right? Bitcoin will be financeable. Bitcoin will be way, way, way higher, sometimes lower. You just have to have faith.
Matt Hogan, the the CIO of Bitwise. Asset management thinks this is the best time to invest in Bitcoin from a risk adjustment perspective.
Yeah, so Bitcoin has more regulatory clarity than Ethereum and other assets. The SEC, the CFTC have already declared it a commodity. It's in the clear. There's already an ETF. BlackRock already has a huge business in that. That's not as true for Solana and Aptos and other altcoins, but I suspect if we get a new SEC, that will become clear, that will drive institutional adoption, and we'll see that rising tide lift all of those boats.
What then do you think is the number one catalyst for Bitcoin as you look ahead to some of your 2025 projections?
Look, I think this is the best single time to invest in Bitcoin from a risk-adjusted perspective. All of the major existential risks of Bitcoin have been washed away. We have an ETF, we have institutions, they are coming into the space. The biggest catalyst is that move of institutional adoption. We're seeing that accelerate. We saw $800 million in ETF flows yesterday alone. This is a tidal wave of institutional assets moving into the space. There's a fixed supply, and from my perspective, that means higher prices.
That's a wrap for today's video. Bitcoin's on the fast track to a record-breaking high, with institutional and individual investors stacking up faster than ever. And with Trump's victory signaling potential crypto-friendly policies on the horizon, the future looks even brighter for Bitcoin and the entire crypto industry. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Are we heading for the moon? Don't forget to subscribe for more updates and give this video a big thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.